Hello YouTube, I'm Tim, and welcome to my DVD and Blu-ray update for April 2017. And last month I thought I had shown everything that I'd bought up through March, my last update video, but I was at Walgreens at the end of March, and I found one more DVD I just had to buy. So I'll have that to show off first, and then I have 5 new Blu-rays to show off for this update video. So, to start off with, I was in Walgreens just to buy some soda, and I looked through the DVD and Blu-ray bargain bin, and they had DVDs for as low as $1.99, and I didn't think I was going to find anything I really wanted, but they had one DVD that I figured, well, if I want to see this movie again, not wait till it comes on Turner Classic Movies again, because that's how I discovered this movie, I'd better buy it, because I didn't know it had been out on DVD, or if I did, it seemed like it was something that just was out on DVD for a short while and then just went out of print. And it's never been out on Blu-ray, but it's one from Warner Brothers, listed as one of their cult camp classics, The Big Cube. And it stars Lana Turner and George Chakiris, who was in the movie version of West Side Story. This also stars Richard Egan. Such nice kids, they won't hurt a fly, only people, people, people. And on the back of the case, it lists this as being a psychedelic freak-out. And this came out in, well, lists 1968, but I think Internet Movie Database said it said 1969, so maybe it was made in 1968 and it was released in 1969. And let's see, this, yeah, it's in a matted widescreen format and enhanced for widescreen TVs. It says rated M and then PG, so it's one of those movies that got that pre-PG rating, rated M, suggested for mature audiences that later became the PG rating. And read a little bit from the back of the case. The only person standing between Johnny George Chakiris and Lisa Karen Mosberg and the all-wedded bliss a multi-million-dollar inheritance can bring is stepmom Adriana, Lana Turner, who refuses to approve the pair's marriage. So what's a hip young couple of the peace and love generation to do? Cube Mama. Lace her prescription meds with psychedelics and drive Adriana out of her mind. With a generation gap tale you can drive a flower power van through and trippy-dippy glides through Adriana's blown mind. The Big Cube is a cinematic freak-out for camp followers only. Leonard Maltin's movie guide. That would include you, right? Happy camping. And that has the original theatrical trailer, subtitles in English or French, main feature, and then bonus material trailer may not be subtitled, so it just has subtitles for the movie. Yeah, I remember seeing this on a Saturday night a couple of years ago on Turner Classic Movies during their TCM Underground cult movie programming block, where they usually show a couple of cult movies in a double feature format, where it's two really old drive-in or cult following movies, and sometimes I think it's always after the second movie they will show some public domain vintage educational films. Yeah, but I never watched this whole movie from beginning to end. I turned it on late once, and I probably watched almost an hour's worth of the movie, and then I turned it off. But it's out on DVD, and it was only $1.99, so I figured, well, I don't know when they put this out on Blu-ray, but it's widescreen, and it has the trailer at least, so... And it's got Lana Turner, who did a bunch of old Hollywood classic movies, and George Chakiris from West Side Story, the movie, so figured this might be worth buying. And then, yeah, that was the last movie I bought in March, and that was unexpected buy. After I did my last update video, I wasn't planning on buying any more DVDs or Blu-rays for March, but I go shopping just for some soda, and that's sitting there for $1.99. It was too hard to pass up, so it's now April, and so far I've been a little bit more stingy with my money, with Easter coming up, and my younger two nephews have birthdays coming up, so I haven't been buying as much movies as I usually do. So I also have Night Flight Plus subscription to renew this month, and then I'm doing the monthly payment plan on Amazon Prime, where I only pay the membership fee once a month rather than once a year. I'm liking doing that now, but with the Night Flight Plus, they only have $29.99 a year for membership, so that I'll renew this month. But 5 more movies to show off, and these are all Blu-rays, so Code Red come out with even more new Blu-ray releases, and I think it was back in January, Code Red and Code Red's brothers DVD label, Scorpion Releasing, have been releasing well, not all, but a large number of their new releases through a website called Roninflix. And Roninflix, they offer you free shipping, but free shipping is media mail, and media mail is the slowest way to be getting DVDs and Blu-rays in the mail, so they have other shipping options where you could pay a little bit more to get priority, where I can get my movies in 1 to 3 days, so I paid a little bit more for priority. But I only bought 2 Blu-rays from Roninflix this time, both Code Red. I didn't get any Scorpion releasing titles this time, and these are both Italian horror movies. And first one up I've never seen before, but the title, or the cover art on this Blu-rays got me really curious. Lamberto Bava's Delirium. You see this person, or lady or whatever, she looks just like a big old... She has just an eyeball for a head. One of my friends on Facebook explained to me, you don't see a person that really looks like that in the movie. Somebody's just hallucinating. That's just a hallucination you see in the movie. And this has got some extras on here. It's a brand new 2016 HD master with extensive and painstaking color correction, brand new on-camera interviews with director Lamberto Bava, actor George Eastman, cinematographer Gian Lorenzo Battaglia, and art director Massimo Antonello J-Leg. And then vintage interviews with Lamberto Bava, George Eastman, and David Brandon, and then this artwork is reversible. Oh, and it says Delirium photo of Gioia. Yeah, Gioia is a buxom centerfold working for Pussycat magazine in such a profession. Having an admirer or two is expected, but Gioia's admirer is a vicious killer. He murders her fellow magazine models one at a time using a variety of twisted implements of death. Gioia is the lucky recipient of a collection of photos, each with murdered bodies arranged around posters of her. Renowned Italian star Serena Grandi, known as the Dolly Parton of Italy, leads the cast in this giallo classic, which features George Eastman, Hands of Steel, Blast Fighter, After the Fall of New York, and Iron Master, David Brandon, Stage Fright, and Caligula, The Untold Story, and he was also in She, and then Daria Nicolodi, Deep Red, Tenebrae, Inferno, and Opera. She's the one that was the girlfriend of Dario Argento, and they have the daughter together, Asia Argento. And this is directed by Lamberto Bava, Monster Shark, Blast Fighter, and Iron Master. Okay, that's got to be a typo. Lamberto Bava. Oh, yeah, I guess he directed this movie, but he's also listed as being involved with Monster Shark, Blast Fighter, and Iron Master. And now see this giallo in a brand new HD master. Yeah, it's 1.78 versus 1 anamorphic widescreen. It's not rated, but it's listed as being Region A for US and Canadian Blu-ray players. So it's region locked for those type of Blu-ray players. And then one movie that first movie that introduced me to the DVD label Code Red, the Italian Exorcist ripoff movie Beyond the Door, starring Juliette Mills and Richard Johnson. They finally got it out on Blu-ray, and I'm not too happy about this new artwork. But Ronin Flicks seems to think that this new artwork will make this movie more sellable. I disagree. It's just annoying. I'm glad that this cover is reversible. Well, the slip cover isn't. So I was not exactly thrilled about buying this early and getting the slip cover. I could live without the slip cover because I just hate this artwork. I like the slip cover on the DVD version that was limited when they first released it on to DVD, but this Blu-ray slip cover art, not so much, since that doesn't look a thing like Juliette Mills. That it's just a comic book artwork that looks like more like a man. Read back cover. Jessica Barrett, Juliette Mills from TV's Nanny and the Professor, lives a blissful life in San Francisco with 2 kids, a record exec husband, Gabriel Lavia, Deep Red, and Revenge of the Dead, which is also, that Revenge of the Dead is also called Zeter. I think it's called Zeter. They just Code Red had just put it out on Blu-ray, but I haven't bought that one yet. Yep. Jessica Barrett with 2 kids, a record exec, Gabrielle Lavia from Deep Red and Revenge of the Dead, and a baby on the way. Life is pretty full, but when she finds out that her new baby belongs to the Prince of Darkness, she becomes a demonically possessed beast, and her ex-boyfriend, devil worshipper Dimitri Richard Johnson, who was in Screamers, Great Alligator, and Zombie, intends to sacrifice her child in order to renew his own twisted existence. This list for the special features a brand new 2016 HD master. And I think most of these extras were carried over from the DVD, because I remember them being on the DVD. Audio commentary with director-producer Ovidio G. Asonitis and Euro horror historian Nathaniel Thompson. He's the guy that runs a DVD review website called Mondo Digital, where he reviews Blu-rays and DVDs. I believe he reviewed this movie already on his website. Either he did or DVD Drive-In did. And let's see what else we can get. There's another audio commentary track with star Juliet Mills and Hostel producer Scott Spiegel, and moderated by film scholar Darren Gross. Well, that one I remember on the DVD, and then this other thing was carried over from the DVD release, Beyond the Door 35 Years Later featurette with interviews with Ovidio Asonitis, Richard Johnson, Juliet Mills, and writer Alex Incredible Melting Man Rebar, and then An Englishman in Italy, an interview with Richard Johnson. That's also from the DVD release. But one new thing that's brand new, interview with star Gabriele Lavia, and I recall I think it was either the DVD audio commentary or one of the on-camera interviews, Juliet Mills had mentioned that she hadn't seen that actor since making the movie, and she didn't understand why, when they were making the movie, how it was post-dubbed into English. She didn't understand why his own voice wasn't used for the post-dubbing. She seemed to think he could speak English well enough that his own voice could have been dubbed for the English language release of the film. And this has got trailers, so I'm assuming it has at least one trailer for the movie. I know the DVD had the theatrical trailer and the TV spot, but so far I've heard this only has the theatrical trailer, and then just trailers for other movies available from Code Red. And it's an anamorphic widescreen 1.85 verse 1. It's the 108-minute cut of the film. It's rated R, and it's region A locked. So this is going to be really fun watching in high definition. So I remember that the DVD was a very beautiful transfer in widescreen, but the audio kind of sucked on the DVD. So I'm hoping that the audio on this Blu-ray is a little bit better than the DVD. I don't know if I should expect too much, since I'm thinking this movie was done in mono and not stereo, so that might have been why the audio was really sucky on the DVD, but I'm hoping that if it's just mono, it comes out louder on the Blu-ray. And then I bought a few Shout Factory Blu-rays off of Amazon.com with my Amazon Prime, and two Blu-rays they've had out for a while. One they put out, I think, back in 2010, when they first started releasing a large number of cult movies that they had licensed from Roger Corman and had their Roger Corman's Cult Classics line. So I upgraded from the DVD to the Blu-ray of Roger Corman's Humanoids from the Deep. So I have all the Shout Factory Roger Corman DVDs and Blu-rays now. Unless they want to put out another one, which I think the only other one that I heard even rumors of happening is the 1988 Not of This Earth. And I know this cover is reversible because almost all those Roger Corman's cult movies on DVD and Blu-ray that Shout Factory released have the reversible artwork, and I've seen it. This lists Humanoids from the Deep, but I'm pretty sure the reverse cover lists Monster, which is what this movie was called when it was released overseas. And this Blu-ray has the new high-definition transfer of the uncut international version, so it's listed as not being rated. But if this had a rating, this would probably be R, because I know the theatrical cut was rated R. And it says, never before seen deleted scenes, trailers, TV and radio spots. And I think I think there's two different trailers on here for the movie, and then there's one TV spot and a bunch of radio spots, and then it's got Leonard Maltin interviews Roger Corman on the making of the film, The Making of Humanoids from the Deep, featuring new interviews with Roger Corman, second unit assistant director James Sbardellotti, and composer James Horner and Cindy Weintraub, and New World Pictures trailers. So those are trailers for other movies released by Roger Corman that were put out on DVD and Blu-ray from Shout Factory. Here's a little synopsis of the film that they list on the back of the case. Something new, or something evil is happening in the sleepy fishing village of Noyo. Fish-like humanoid creatures spawned by mutant DNA begin rising from the ocean, looking to mate with the local women. Scientists Susan Drake and Turkel, along with local fishermen Jim Hill, Doug McClure, the land that time forgot, seek to investigate the cause of this invasion of creatures from the ocean floor. But when the annual Salmon Festival begins, some unwanted guests are about to crash the festivities. Also starring Vic Morrow, Message from Space, Cindy Weintraub, The Prowler, and Denise Galik, Don't Answer the Phone. And then film features an early score from Academy Award-winning composer James Horner, Avatar, Braveheart, and Titanic, who started his career with Roger Corman, and special effects creature designs by Oscar nominee Rob Bottin, RoboCop, The Thing, Seven, and Total Recall, and then show a few pictures on the back. Looks like one of these is almost just a painting of one of these mutated salmon monsters, because this is about these salmon fish that mutate into these male monsters that go about killing human men and raping and impregnating human women. They just, they show a photo of a couple kids swimming at the beach, just a guy jumping in the water, and his girlfriend's in a bikini, and she looks good. I'm not kidding, she definitely looks good in that bikini. And then we see a girl like she's wearing like a sweater jacket like I am with the hood. She's in a car driving, and then there's a monster behind her outside of her car. And then there's one other photo. It almost looks like it's behind the scenes photo, but it looks like it's just a few people with fishing reels going fishing, but not catching anything. And this is anamorphic widescreen in region A. And one thing this Blu-ray case doesn't mention, that this was the one movie that Roger Corman had hired a female director, Barbara Peters, who had directed his biker movie Bury Me an Angel. And then she directed his one, I guess you could call it a teen sex comedy, Summer School Teachers. Yeah, it's one that hasn't been out on DVD or Blu-ray, Summer School Teachers, other than just in bootlegs, but in Bury Me an Angel, sadly, hasn't gotten past VHS tape release other than bootlegs. But this was the one that he hired a female director, Barbara Peters, to direct the film, but he didn't tell her that there would be women in this getting raped and impregnated by monsters. So I had heard how he had to fire Barbara Peters from the movie because she had a fit over it being so sleazy with the rapes in it. But it does sound kind of silly. Salmon mutating into monsters and then going around and killing men and raping women. Yeah. And I've got the DVD of this on watch, so something happens to my DVD, I've got the Blu-rays backup. And I've heard most of these Blu-ray editions are just a slight bump up in quality from the DVDs. And then, I think it was back in January, Shout Factory had finally released a couple other Roger Corman cult movies to Blu-ray. Is when they had the Roger Corman line, they released all three of the Slumber Party Massacre movies into a 2 DVD set, with the first movie being on the first disc and its 2 sequels being on the second disc. Well, when they canceled the Roger Corman line after a while, or just put an end to it after a while, when it wasn't being much of a financial success, they had started a horror and cult movie line, which is now sort of evolved into almost a whole new DVD label called Scream Factory, although I've had some people telling me, oh no, Scream Factory is not a DVD label, it's just a DVD line, just like the Roger Corman line. Well, I think initially that was true at first, but it's sort of evolved into a whole subsidiary of Shout Factory. So when they started the Scream Factory line, they started releasing a few more Roger Corman movies under the Scream Factory banner rather than Roger Corman's cult classics, and they had released Slumber Party Massacre. The first movie is a single Blu-ray, and then for the longest time it seemed that they weren't ever going to release any more Roger Corman movies. They had released some that they had gotten from MGM that MGM owns that Roger Corman doesn't own. But then I guess they went back to the bargaining table with Roger Corman and got Blu-ray rights for some movies that they previously only had DVD rights. And when they started the Scream Factory line, they had also released Roger Corman's The Nest, and I found out that they weren't able to get that directly from Roger Corman, even though they had a deal with him. But by strange coincidence, they had already started a deal with MGM, and MGM had the rights to Roger Corman's The Nest. So I was wondering, okay, this DVD Blu-ray combo packet lists New Horizons Pictures on the back of the case, which is Roger Corman's company. It doesn't list MGM, but I'm seeing this movie on the schedule for MGM HD. So I'm not understanding that, but apparently MGM also had the rights to Roger Corman's The Nest. But I believe I've already showed that off in another video, but if I haven't, well, I'll have to do just a separate video, just Scream Factory and Roger Corman. But, yeah, January, I believe that, yeah, it was either January or February, Shout Factory had finally released a Scream Factory Blu-ray double feature set of Slumber Party Massacre Part 2 and Slumber Party Massacre Part 3, but this isn't just your typical Scream Factory Blu-ray double feature. It's actually 2 separate Blu-rays, so each movie gets its own Blu-ray. I believe this is 2. Yeah, it's listed as a 2-disc set anyway. So I'm hoping that it is 2 discs. And for Slumber Party Massacre 2, you get the original 76-minute R-rated cut in high definition, and then the extended 85-minute unrated cut in standard definition, and then audio commentary with writer, director, producer Deborah Brock, producer Don Daniel, and story editor Beverly Gray, and then Sleepless Nights Revisiting the Slumber Party Massacres, a 3-part documentary. And then I'm guessing that came from the Roger Corman's Cult Classics DVD edition of Slumber Party Massacre collection. Because I think part of that documentary was on the Scream Factory Blu-ray of the first Slumber Party Massacre. And then the theatrical trailer and still gallery are what they have listed as extras for Slumber Party Massacre 2. And then Slumber Party Massacre 3 has the original 75-minute R-rated cut in high def and extended 87-minute unrated cut. But this time, this sequel is in high def for the unrated version, but it has some standard definition footage, so like with some of their other releases, like, let's see, yeah, The House That Screamed, they had to do, for one of the 2 cuts, they had to do a composite cut where it was in high def with standard definition inserts, I think, for the extended cut of that movie. And then as a theatrical trailer in the still gallery, and I'm not going to read really anything more on these two movies, because I think these are more, if you're a slasher fan, Roger Corman fan, well, and they'll probably interest you, but I don't really want to take the time to read the back of the case. I'm running on almost 36 minutes now, and I have one more Blu-ray to show. And back in 2012, Shout Factory sadly had ended the Roger Corman Cult Classics DVD and Blu-ray line, and that was really sad because there was so much more they could have put out as a Roger Corman's Cult Classic under that line, because I knew the late great Playboy Playmate of the Year and drive-in cult movie starlet Claudia Jennings had been in a few Roger Corman productions back in the 70s. She had first started out in the Roger Corman production The Unholy Rollers, which was put out through American International Pictures in 1972, and that was right after Roger Corman had already started New World Pictures, as he had already exited American International Pictures. But then I found out, well, American International is pretty much owned by MGM now, so Shout Factory at first said, no, we're not going to put out Unholy Rollers, that is owned by MGM, but they got all these requests for it. And of course, they put it out on DVD, what they had called Cult Movie Marathon, where they had these MGM cult movie DVD 4-packs where 2 DVDs with 4 movies spread over the 2 DVDs, and with that Roger Corman MGM movie, The Unholy Rollers, there was another cult movie that I liked. Well, maybe not as much as a Corman production, but was still pretty interesting. And it had been out on numerous DVD labels as a public domain movie, but I found out, well, this movie is not really in the public domain, although its Internet Movie Database has it listed as being part of the public domain. I found out it's technically not part of the public domain, and it's another one that MGM owns, so there was a really sexy sci-fi thriller that MGM had acquired over the years called Invasion of the B-Girls, and it's also known as Graveyard Tramps, and that title doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but if you see the movie, there's one scene in the movie where it gets that alternate release title from a funeral scene where you see 4 of the B-Girls just sitting at this one guy's funeral, all wearing sunglasses. So I guess you could call them the Graveyard Tramps. Shout Factory had released Invasion of the B-Girls in a cult movie DVD 4-pack called Cult Movie Marathon Volume 1 with Roger Corman's The Unholy Rollers. And I say Roger Corman's even though it was another film he didn't direct. It was back in the 70s, he was mainly producing movies. I refer to it as a Roger Corman production since he was one of the producers on it. I believe the executive producer also has Claudia Jennings, who was one of his actresses. Well, he had reused her in The Great Texas Dynamite Chase for New World Pictures, and then in his other New World picture, Death Sport, and not with Claudia Jennings. I can hope that maybe someday that movie gets a Blu-ray release where it gets more of the respect it deserves, although I'm not counting on it, since that movie has a bunch of copyrighted music that, unfortunately, for the VHS and DVD releases, they couldn't work out some sort of deal with the band that performs most of the music in that film soundtrack, so most of the music's changed, so that's a disappointment. But on with Invasion of the B-Girls. That also got put in that DVD 4-pack, and it had, like I said, it had been out on the public domain budget DVD labels as being a public domain movie, but it was in full frame, and it was not a really crummy looking full frame. It looked like you got enough picture, but it looked dirty, and the colors were all faded, but it was uncut. It was a bootleg version of the movie, but it was uncut. Well, MGM releases an authorized version on their Midnight Movies DVD label, and the film elements MGM had looked pretty good, but the film print they had was damaged, so it was missing a bunch of footage. So Shout Factory had acquired what was believed to finally be the uncut film for DVD. Well, that found out that DVD version was still a cut version, probably due to print damage, but MGM seemed to fix their 35mm print or whatever they had, and they managed to get most of the cut footage back into the movie. But I noticed at the end of the movie, when it gets to the final scene between Victoria Vetri and William Smith, Victoria Vetri is talking about Anitra Ford's character. Well, she's now abruptly talking about this other character, but it's not her full monologue on this other character. It's just an abrupt start to the monologue before being cut off and tackled by William Smith. But from what I heard, Shout Factory has finally remedied the situation completely with the Blu-ray release of Invasion of the B-Girls, so I just had to get that one. Now, I haven't checked this, but from what I read in the reviews for this is the full uncut version of the film. I don't think this is reversible cover art, but one or two of these pictures on the back of the case I remember being on that DVD 4-pack with Roger Corman's The Unholy Rollers. And I'll read the back of the case. Wonderfully campy and sexy sci-fi outing, Leonard Maltin. Invasion of the B-Girls is the best schlock, softcore science fiction movie since The Vengeance of She, claimed film critic Roger Ebert. And who wouldn't be terrified by the very thought of watching these lovely beehive beauties love their chosen mates to death? A government inspector, that's who, and now he alone must stop their lust for killing before he becomes one of the queen bee's honeys. This bewitching tale stars a pair of beauties Anitra for the Big Birdcage, it's a Roger Corman flick, and then Victoria Vetri from When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth. And this doesn't list any extras, but according to DVD Drive-In's review, this does have the original theatrical trailer, which the DVD edition had. But this also, I think this might also have, no, I don't think it has any TV spots. There should be at least the one theatrical trailer and the radio spots, and then I heard there's a still gallery. This is in 1080p high definition, 1.85 verse 1, which is the original widescreen in aspect ratio, and it's rated R, and it's region A locked. And while with Slumber Party Massacre, you get the Scream Factory logo at the bottom of the case. Invasion of the Bee-Girls, you don't get any Scream Factory logo. You just get a little Scream Factory thing on the spine. I don't think it's going to show up that well. You should be able to see a blurry little MGM logo, and then Scream Factory, and then Blu-ray logo, and then SF, either for Shout Factory or for Scream Factory, and then Scream Factories listed on the back or the bottom of the case in really small print. Yeah, and it looks like Cliff McMillan is back to producing Blu-rays for Shout Factory. It seemed like for a while there were a number of DVDs and Blu-rays where he wasn't the producer, but I know for the Roger Corman line, he was the producer on almost every single one. Yeah, for Humanoids, from the deep it says DVD producer Cliff McMillan. Yeah, it seemed like for a while he wasn't a DVD or Blu-ray producer on the releases. Now he's suddenly being listed as Blu-ray producer again. But that's all I have for this DVD and Blu-ray update. So thanks for watching, and be sure to stop by again for another DVD and Blu-ray update coming soon.